The story begins in a phenomenal way. Our main character Hanzai with his little puppy is standing in the middle of the city and a man is destroying the city and killing people with his giant contracted creatures. It felt really good doing Hanzai. Running to look for a safe place, but then the man blocks their way and tells them that his snake is hungry and is looking for some young students so that the giant snake can jump on them. Suddenly 3 giant lions appear in front of him to hold him back, and with one of their blows he goes flying and crashes badly on some furniture. He wakes up, his classmates see him, but even in this tense situation the teacher decides to inform about this matter. He had a smile on his face, he was happy that now there was no one between them. The man had a huge red dragon, then that little puppy hand starts to transform into something else. The man's lion attacks him, but with one hand the eye lowers down till the lion's body was under his feet and the little puppy was now a ferocious big dog behind him. He calls the puppy Dao and tells him not to use any foul language this time. Let's take a look at who Hanzai really is after a long wait, teleported somehow from his real world to the present world about 19 years ago. Finally it was his day to make a contract with a beast. Everyone has his own. The requirements were, some were confident, others were nervous. Talking about Han's 2 eyes classmates with him, they were trying to guess how strong his contracted beast would be because he was the best liberal arts student this year and he had strong mental power. They predict that he might become a great man in the future. Hanzai was obviously annoyed to hear all this. Then they start talking about Wang Kai, who looked at Han. He also had a good family background, but he still considers him weak from Han's point of view. The contract is done. Hanzai tells him that he is not interested in cards. Wang Kai was even more so after this conversation. Finally it was time. They all stood under a huge tower. This was the famous contract tower where everyone, including Hanzai, was amazed to see how magnificent it was. Suddenly Hanzai hears a voice and it is asking him what he wants. Hanzai remembers that the teacher mentioned that it is the contract tower and its spiritual resonance place is revealed to him. The contract tower was talking to him to answer the tower's question about asking what he wants, but suddenly he hears the teacher's voice who instructs him to go inside the tower and make the contract as it was his turn, and he stands on the magic circle which was the switch to open the whole contract tower. He teleports to a very mysterious place. It was heavenly looking and in front of him was the contract hall. He cuts his thumb and moves towards it. He drops his blood in the water kept there and then a beam of light bursts from the sky and then many more bubbles from the sky. Hanzai was wondering why he is getting so many, when in fact the person can contract with up to 5 creatures. Then one of the bubbles became a red hand. I could feel it was a special one, so he grabs it, and then when he opens his first there is one in his palm. It is a luminous sign. It gives the name of its creature, Yoga. Thus the contract was finally done. It was the last spark for people to fight against nature. Originally this planet was a parallel world almost similar to Earth, but decades before the fog started to cover the entire planet. Since then the remaining creatures except humans have mutated and the space for human activities has become very narrow, and these creatures were hunting humans when people built high walls to resist the fog and mutated creatures. This appeared to be how contracts came into being. Those who mastered driving giant animals gradually had the capital to fight back against nature, with some believing it was the end of the world, while others said it was God's punishment for humans, as contempt for nature per se. It was just survival of the fittest. Everyone had a contract with some kind of creature. Cry the white girl from before. Because his creature was actually a weed, his teacher tells him that the students who contract with the weak creatures should not be discouraged, that they may not be special forces, but they are an indispensable new force for the country. There were also strengths. Some students question them why they always make contracts with exotic animals. The teacher yells at them that not only they but people all over China are curious to know the answer, but for some reason very fewer people can contract with domestic animals. Once in a while the divine beast has one person contracting from the country and they are all pitifully weak. A red lightning was striking from the top of the tower while Hanzai was contracting. Even the teacher was scared to see it. When the other students ask him what is the matter, he tells them that all this is happening because I made a contract with a divine beast. Wang Kai was more jealous than anyone else. The mayor and his men were watching. Everyone in town knew that someone was making a contract with an incredible creature. The big man was pestering a man to take his contracted beast. He sees this happening as well as Hanzai panics. Finally his animal is revealed to be a small puppy. Hanzai feels disappointed after getting just a regular earth dog. He remembers that his family in a previous life had a cat when he was a child. He catches the dog and pats it gently but is still disappointed. The next door opens and he enters. He sees a projection of a window in front of him. This makes him swallow the god dog. Congratulations on successfully contracting the hand. I am shocked to see this as the dog looks like an ordinary dog as told. Then it asks him if he wants to open the beginner's gift pack or wait for it. He thinks about it and doesn't press. The tower's exit door finally opens and Hanzai pops out, everyone expecting it to be some big ferocious animal, but when they hold eye to hand, so catch a little puppy, they start laughing and make fun of him. The eye doesn't answer anything and keep on talking to the students. Now we were like to be friends with Wang Kai because now he has a huge beast. Wang Kai stops eyes of hands and asks him to go back to his gutter. Was looking for his next victim after killing him. His bat was in a hand-shaped position and they were now ready to hunt him down. Swallow was furious but Behemoth looked menacing. It charges towards Hanzai. Swallow also jumped from it and red sparks were coming out of its body. Behemoth tried to strike at it with its claws but suddenly it felt something. Felt and he fell down and no one could see what happened. Wang Kai runs to him and asks Hanzai what he did with his animal, then suddenly their teacher comes in and ends the fight. He confronts Wang Kai. Tells him not to be too complacent with his animal or he will achieve nothing in his life. He pulls Wang Kai's ear and scolds him for using the contracted animal so casually that he is tired now. The Wang Kai apologizes for troubling him. I asked Swallow if he swallowed. He signaled no and started rolling on the ground. Then Hanzai hugs him and plays more with him. The girls are impressed to see this, how cute the swallow was. They asked Hanzai if they could touch him with their hands. Eyes happily offers them to do so, so they pat him on the head and hug him. Then they ask Hanzai to name him. Asos. Laughing thinks for a bit and then names the girls like names. As the hand's gaze falls on the blonde-haired girl with her little plant, they both exchanged a smile. Then Hanzai Dao's statistics checks. He finds out he was an SSS grade creature and has 100 loyalty. Then some guy comes up to his teacher and asks him if he would mind if they took him and his students for a few minutes. Teacher respectfully addresses them as captains and asks them why they were there. They tell him they were all attracted by the sight of Black Contract Tower, asked to speak to the students, as they used to do in previous years, but in the end Jean convinces them to lend some students. The teacher explains to all the students that the four are in front. They are the captains of the battle group stationed at the academy. Zhang is in charge of Captain Xiao and his two sub-teams. He tells them that they are here to select seed players for their teams, so they do not need to think carefully and make decisions blindly. Upon receiving permission they begin to recruit Captain Zhang and ask him to join their second search team. The girl was confused. She tries to convince Captain Zio that his creature is just an illusion, but Zio tells her that she wants him absolutely cursed and snake-like tentacles comes out of him and attack the girl, but the grass cut him like a blade. Everyone was shocked to see this. Zio especially was really excited and asks her to join her sister's team at all costs. The girl isn't sure what to say, but then she thinks of Hanzai's. She asks Zio to think about the proposal. Sometimes Zio agrees. Is and some sort of mutated plant that has not yet been discovered, or the hand-shaped vision was actually caused by the monster grass, just delayed for some unknown reason. Wang Kai on the other hand stops Hanzai and makes him wait after the entrance, but Hanzai was focused on entering the inner ring. Later that day, Hanzai opens his novice package at his dorm, but he only finds some dog food and then a dog breeding guidebook, so now he had no choice but to check what was written in the book. While feeding Dao Dao he reads book, bites his hands. I realize he must train him well first. Dog food was increasing Dao's experience level and he still wanted to eat more, but before that Hanzai takes him to the training ground to teach him some basic moves. An old man was watching. He finds it interesting because he went there for basic training by himself, unlike the others before the school started. He checks his stats to see how strong he is now. When he is surprised to see the results, he finds out that with Dao's upgrades his stats were also increasing at a crazy pace. he is very happy that Val was eating so much that he finished 93 bags in only 3 days. Hanzai was on a tight budget. He thought of buying some food as a reserve and reporting to his family. There were telephone booths. And communication was only possible through that, because of the fog halfway around the world. He is about to pick up the telephone. He hears 3 men talking about him, their pockets full of cash. They make eye-to-eye contact. Hanzai goes to him and asks him why he is looking for her. And tells him that it is because of his sister. She was worried that he didn't hear from her for a day and she went to the back alley. I sneak out to wait for him, after telling her so much that they leave suspicion aside as she was too young to come there alone. She wonders if this is Wang trying to get revenge. But now he was very strong, so he was not afraid, so he enters the alley. As he enters the giant bat, he dodges it, but behind him was the big bad guy. He wonders why his animal is of the little dirty dog. He orders his bat to hit the hand's eye and release the Tao. The bat releases its sonic sound waves. The hand closes the eye's ear and cannot move. The man was happy that the dog, after catching the man in black, will recruit him, but then suddenly a red aura comes out of the Tao and takes the form of a big hound. Hanzai on the other hand grabs the bat and slams it against the wall. Blood from the man starts flowing as well as Hanzai calls him weak. The man was really angry and accuses him and asks the bat to give him maximum power so that he can shatter the internal organs of the hand eyes and leave the Z-bat, and before the man can kill him he hits her in the chest. The hit shatters her rib cage and damages her internal organs. Then Hanzai grabs the bat, crawling like a new baby rat, so the man is absolutely shocked to see the strong and tries to escape, but Hanzai stops him. Then he starts blackmailing that he knows everything about his family and his address, and his sister Hanzai tells him that none of this, it doesn't matter because she has her life in her hands right now. Onk breaks one of her legs and starts dragging her deeper into the alley. The roles were now reversed. Suddenly a girl screams for him to stop. Zhao's red snake Hanzai tries to convince her that he was brought there by her. The man asks her for help, but Zhao begins to interrogate him. His body trembles as soon as the man touches his feet. Zhao tells him that they have no place for scum like him and smashes his head with a kick. Zhao tells Hanzai that since it is his wasn't a mistake topic will end now. Hanzai wonders if she is a friend or a photo for her strange attitude before leaving Zio, who tells her that the bat's body is worth tens of thousands of dollars, so she has to deal with it. Hanzai was stunned to hear that a way must be found, even though the parents work hard for it. Maybe a year they could not appreciate so much money. Then they saw Tao and he was eating the rest of the body. It was too late to say anything, but after that they felt his strength had improved, and the next day the university gathered all the teachers. Wang Kai's sidekicks are buttering him. They are making hand-eye pranks and Wang Kai is enjoying it. He tells them that he has good intentions. So he thought about asking Hanzai if he would like to follow him in the future, but his men are good, which he regrets because he didn't show up since the fight. They were guessing he was leaving school and shame was out, each is until suddenly Hanzai appears there and Dao Wang's men still try to mock him that he will get the worst apartment. The teacher comes and yells at them to shut up.